I promised in the last video that I would talk about enjoyment and how we got our enjoyment from life. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between what we can call ideological enjoyment and emancipatory enjoyment. So I'm going to use again kind of like some technical terms, but I'll explain them all, and I'm going to give plenty of examples to, I think, illustrate what I'm trying to say. So we'll start with the idea of enjoyment. I'm actually going to use the term jouissance. So we're going to talk about ideological jouissance and emancipatory jouissance. And the reason why I'm using the term jouissance, it's a French term, and it's a technical term in continental philosophy that describes a type of enjoyment. Now, some theorists, someone like Todd McGowan, he just uses enjoyment, and I understand why. He thinks sometimes these technical terms are more unhelpful than they are helpful. But I want to use the term because there's something missing in the word enjoyment that jouissance captures. Enjoyment connotes in English that you're getting some sort of pleasure from something. And there can be a distinction made between pleasure and enjoyment that's important. Pleasure might be what I get out of drinking this coffee, and enjoyment is what I get out of thinking about drinking the coffee, right? So you enjoy the lead up to Christmas and you get pleasure out of opening the presents. But jouissance also captures something, I think, much kind of deeper. Jouissance brings together at least three different ideas. One is sexuality. So jouissance is about orgasm in French. So there's a sexual dimension. And when you're thinking about the sexual dimension in terms of psychoanalysis, a helpful way to think about it is a type of non-utility enjoyment. So, for example, you can eat food in order to get energy and to feed your body and to feel less tired, so the food has a utility. But if you go to another extreme and you think about a tasting menu, where almost everything about a tasting menu is not about utility, it's about taste. Now, you can even go further than that and think about wine tasting, where you don't even drink the wine. So you might, for utilitarian reasons, drink wine to relax because you want to feel a little bit tipsy, you want to kind of feel a little bit less repressed. Whatever it is, there's certain utility to drinking wine. But when you're wine tasting, you're getting rid of that utility and you're concentrating purely on this sensuality. So you can think about sexuality in terms of sensuality like that. So jouissance captures that a type of enjoyment that has a sensual, non-utilitarian value to us. Second, jouissance captures the notion of a suffering. So it's not all about something that's pleasurable. Jouissance can be experienced as anxiety. And a good way of thinking about this, which I'm going to come back to maybe a couple of times in this short talk, is that you might, for example, scroll on Twitter and read people who disagree with you and whose positions you find offensive and destructive and whatever, right? And you find yourself angry, you find yourself anxious, but you're also lured by it, you're caught into it, you're grasped by it, right? So there is a type of enjoyment, but the enjoyment isn't experienced as enjoyment, it's experienced as suffering. And so jouissance captures that. Jouissance can be like being on a roller coaster and you're going over the edge and you feel anxious and you're going, why am I doing this? And you're terrified, but you're doing the roller coaster because you're getting something out of it. So jouissance doesn't just mean enjoyment, pleasure. It means a pleasure also in suffering, and it has a sensual dimension. So that's why I want to use the term jouissance.